Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all the Vaishnavas listening to me. Today we will start from 13th question of the chapter Ragananga Bhakti. Before that, let us offer our prayers at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev and all our previous acharyas. Om Agyan Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तद्कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So the 14th question of this chapter is, what should be the mood, process, endeavor for realizing the Lord's pastime, behavior and service to the worshipable Lord of those who engage in Raganuga Bhakti? Answer is, one should engage in the Lord's service in the same way it is described in the book Vilapa Kusumanjali. One should behave with each other in the same way it is described in the book Brajavilasa Stotra. One should endeavor to realize the Lord's pastime in the same way it is described in the prayers offered by Vishakha and Nanda. One should perceive these pastimes with the eightfold pastimes of the Lord. One should engage one's mind in the pastimes of Krishna in the same process it is described in the book Manashiksha, and one should strengthen one's mood revealed in the book Swaniyama Dwadasakam. With that we complete 96th chapter and now start 97th chapter. The topic of this chapter is the teachings of Sri Chaitanya. And first question, what is the importance of Sriman Mahaprabhu's teachings? Who can and how can one adopt his teachings? Answer is, the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are confidential and scientific. They are incomprehensible if one does not study them with special attention. Nowadays, many people read novels while relaxing after lunch. The teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should not be read like that. These teachings are the confidential purport of the Vedas and Vedanta. If one slowly and faithfully studies these teachings with special attention in the association of the devotees, one can understand the purport of these teachings. Second question, in which forms have the essence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings have been manifested? Answer is, the direct instructions of Sri Gaurachandra are that the Vedic literatures are the only evidence, and they establish the following 9 auxiliary evidences. First, Lord Hari is one without second. Second, he is always vested with infinite power. Third, he is ocean of rasa. Fourth, the spirit soul is his part and partial. Fifth, certain souls are engrossed by his illusory energy. Sixth, certain souls are liberated from the grasp of his illusory energy. Seventh, all spiritual and material worlds are simultaneously one and different from Hari. Eighth, bhakti is the only means for attaining the ultimate goal of life. Ninth, love of Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. Third question, why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has condemned Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha and Rasabhasa? Answer is, Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha refers to that which is against the principle of unity in diversity, philosophically known as Achintya Bheda Bheda, simultaneous oneness and difference, whereas Rasabhasa is something that may appear to be transcendental mellow, but actually is not. Those who are pure Vaishnavas should avoid both these things opposed to devotional service. These misconceptions practically parallel the Mayavada philosophy. If one indulges in Mayavada philosophy, he gradually fails and falls down from the platform of devotional service. By overlapping mellows, Rasabhasa, one eventually becomes a Prakrata Sahajiya and takes everything to be very easy. One may also become a member of the Bala community and gradually become attracted to material activities. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore advised us to avoid Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha and Ras Abhasa. In this way, the devotee can remain pure and free from fall downs. Everyone should try to remain aloof from Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha and Rasabhasa. Fourth question, does Mahaprabhu approve any immorality? Answer is, Sriman Mahaprabhu tells us that a man who earns money in a right way and sincere dealings with others and their masters, but should not immorally gain it. When Gopinath Patnayaka, one of the brothers of Ramanand Rai, was being punished by the Raja of Odisha for immoral gains, Sri Chaitanya warned all who attended upon him to be moral in their worldly dealings. Fifth question, through his own behavior, what did Mahaprabhu teach regarding the duty of a householder? Answer is, in his own early life, he has taught the Grihasthas to give all sorts of help to the needy and the helpless, and has shown that it is necessary for one who has the power to do it to help the education of the people, especially the Brahmanas, who are expected to study the higher subjects of human knowledge. Sixth question, is there any fault in the behavior, preaching and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Deva? Answer is, Sri Chaitanya as a teacher has taught man both by precepts and by his holy life. There is scarcely a spot in his life which may be made the subject of criticism. His sannyasa, his severity to Junior Haridas, and such like other acts have been questioned as wrong by certain persons, but as far as we understand, we think as all other independent men would think, that those men have been led by a hasty conclusion or party spirit. Seventh question, what Sriman Mahaprabhu has accepted as the commentary of Vedanta, and what are his teachings in this regard? Answer is, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Pranava or Om is the transcendental sound vibration. The purport of this sound vibration is vividly described in the Upanishads. The teachings of the Upanishads are completely approved in the sutras of Vyasadeva. Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary on the sutras of Vyasadeva. In the first sutra of Vyasadeva, Janmadi Asya Yata, the teaching of Parinamavada has been taught. In the Vedic mantra Yato va Imani Bhutani, the same principle is taught, and in Srimad Bhagavatam also the same principle is taught. Fearing that in the philosophy of Parinamavada the Supreme Brahman become transformed, Shankaracharya established his own philosophy called Vivartavada. Actually, Brahma Vivarta is the root of all misconceptions, and Parinamavada is pure spiritual truth approved by all these scriptures. 8th question. What is the essence of Sriman Mahaprabhu's teachings? Answer is, the essence of Sriman Mahaprabhu's teachings is that love of Krishna is the living entity's eternal constitutional propensity. The living entities can never be eternally separated from this propensity. But due to forgetfulness of Krishna, the living entities are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord and thereby become attached to material objects, and their constitutional propensity has gradually become lost. It has almost become dormant within the core of their hearts. This is the cause of living entities suffering in the material existence. If out of good fortune the living entities remember that I am an eternal servant of Krishna, then their dormant propensity will be revived and they will certainly regain their spiritual health. 9th question. What is the ultimate instruction of Sriman Mahaprabhu? Answer is, Srimad Bhagavatam has declared that those who faithfully hear or glorify the transcendental pastimes of Braja will certainly achieve love of God in the form of pure devotional service, and they will attain liberation from their mundane heart ailments. With that, we complete 97th chapter and now start 98th chapter. The topic of this chapter is instructions to the living entities. First question. What is the primary instruction of Thakura Bhakti Vinoda to the human beings? Answer is, the human form of life is very rare and even one day should not be misused. Second question. How did Sri Bhakti Vinoda Thakur instructs one to lead a religious life? Answer is, there is no superior wealth in this material world than religious principles. This material body is temporary. Today it is alive, tomorrow it may be dead. Our most merciful Lord has kindly given this world the holy names and the treasury of love of God. One should accept them from a bona fide spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita are the two invaluable jewels in this world. One should discuss them with utmost care. There is no need to advertise oneself as a learned man. One should distribute the wealth of devotional service to all living entities. One should lead a pious life and earn one's livelihood through pious means, and thus maintain himself and his dependents. But one should never forget the holy names of Krishna. Third question. Is a devotee of Krishna afraid of plague? Answer is, becoming afraid of plague is certainly not Vaishnava etiquette. Just consider, O brothers, what can plague do to you? What can it harm you by taking away your useless life? If you want your own benefit, then take a lesson from this plague. If you are attacked by plague tomorrow, then you will be no more. Where all your happiness and wealth will go, then just imagine. Therefore, without wasting your time uselessly, you should constantly and sincerely chant the holy names of Hari with devotion. Then millions of plague cannot create any harm to you. Fourth question. Which ideal did Sri Bhakti Vinoda Thakura instructed those who are distressed on seeing their others distressed to follow? Answer is, offer your respect to all living entities in this world. Always endeavor to mitigate the distress of all living entities. Always try to remain by the side of other living entities and benefit them. But at the same time, never forget the supreme characteristics and most essential instructions of Sri Gauranga. Fifth question. When does a living entity's birth in this material world become successful? Answer is, a person who has accepted Krishna as his eternal son. There is no need for him to lament, and as such all his temporary attachment become destroyed. In order to worship Krishna, you have come to this material world. Therefore, always contemplate on the eternal science of absolute truth. Sixth question. What duty has been prescribed for a traveler on the path of spiritual life? Answer is, after completing my family responsibilities, I will go to Vrindavana. Now I am trying hard to repay the 3 types of debts. One should not maintain such a desire, because under the influence of such ill desire, one will ultimately give up his body. Then one will not be able to serve the lotus feet of Krishna, the friend of the poor. If you want auspiciousness, then always chant the holy names of Lord Krishna. It is useless to argue whether you live at home or in the forest. Seventh question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prescription about the topmost duty of the temporary human life? Answer is, you do not have many more days to live. Whatever days are left is also full of obstacles. Therefore, O brothers, continue to drink the mellows of Srimad Bhagavatam with special attention and care. Eighth question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's instruction regarding the pride for caste? Answer is, O brother mind, you remain as a Brahmana with your social prestige, but do not insult the Vaishnavas. As such, an intelligent ginger trader never quarrels over the ship. Ninth question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's instruction towards the pseudo-renunciates and those who desire material fame? Answer is, you are a servant of Sri Chaitanya and you should desire devotional service to Hari. What is the use of various symptoms of ashrama life? Please reject material honor and reside in Santipura. Your only assets are the mercy of the devotees. 10th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's instruction to those who are attached to matter? Answer is, a living entity is constitutionally pure. So, O brothers, why are you being illusioned in this material world again and again? Please consider once that the spirit soul is like the flow of nectar and immortal. 11th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's instruction to those who identify themselves as Vaishnavas? Answer is, there is no need for the introduction of the Vaishnavas. Never proceed for accumulating material opulence. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur requests that you always sing loudly the transcendental qualities of Sri Radha and Krishna. 12th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's advice to the proud people who neglect the path of the Mahajanas? Answer is, because many cheaters artificially put on tilaka, beads and take initiation, therefore you have developed detachment for them. You find faults in the path of Mahajanas and you become very angry. As a result, you give up attachment towards this path. Now see, O brother mind, you grabbed ashes instead of gold and you have wasted this life and the life after your death. Everyone is called you a cheater. Moreover, you have not achieved devotional service. So what will happen after your death? 13th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's instruction to those so-called exalted devotees? Answer is, O my mind, what else will I tell you? You are talking about love of God, but actually you have rejected gold and tied an empty knot in your cloth. 14th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's instruction to those who uselessly carry the burden of family life? Answer is, I work hard like an ass, but I do not know for whom am I doing so much work. Yet my illusion is not removed. My days are spent in useless activities and nights in sleeping. Still, I do not realize that death is sitting just next to me. I eat palatable foodstuff, see beautiful things, and wear nice clothes without any anxiety. I never think that any day I will have to give up this body. 16th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's warning to those who consider the body as self? Answer is, my body will lie down in the crematorium and birds and insects will enjoy it. The dogs and jackals will happily enjoy a feast with my body. Such is the destination of a body. Yet, worldly opulence and friends are all devoted to it. 17th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's instruction to those who desire to attain eternal happiness regarding subjects favorable and unfavorable for devotional service? Answer is, O living entities, if you want to experience the flow of eternal bliss constantly, then please take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Give up all types of dry worships, such as meditating on the impersonal Brahman, and always cultivate attachment for the Supreme Lord. The abode of Vrindavana is full of flowers where Sri Rasalila pastimes are enacted. You are a pure spirit soul. The pride of being the enjoyer is extremely weak in Vrindavana. You are intimately related to Sri Radhika as an eternal companion. You are meant to experience the spiritual ecstasy. Enjoying the illusory material objects is the cause of your downfall. 18th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's instruction to the lazy people? Answer is, O brother, death is certain. It may come today or after 100 years. Therefore, do not remain free from anxiety. Please worship the lotus feet of Sri Krishna as soon as possible, because there is no guarantee for life. 19th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's instruction regarding the constitutional propensity and hope of the practitioners? Answer is, for thee, thy sire on high has kept a store of bliss above. To end of time thou art his, who wants but purest love. 20th question. Who gives the living entities information about immortality when they are unable to solve the mystery of life? Answer is, man's life to him a problem dark, a screen both left and right. No soul hath come to tell us what exists beyond our sight. But then a voice, how deep and soft, within ourselves is left. Man, man, thou art immortal soul, the death can never melt. 21st question. How Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura want the travelers on the path of spiritual life to be determined? Answer is, maintain thy post in the spiritual world, in the spirit world, as firmly as you can. Let never matter pushes thee down. O stand heroic man. 22nd question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's instruction to the readers of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? Answer is, as one should carefully study Vedanta and literatures which deal with transcendental mellows from a bona fide spiritual master, similarly, this great literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, should be read like that. 23rd question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's warning to the readers of transcendental literatures? Answer is, whenever you read a literature, you should read it completely. Otherwise, you will fail to abstract the actual meaning and ultimately become a logician. 24th question. What is Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura's instruction to those who are fond of reading mundane literature? Answer is, do not remain confined simply in the discussion of a literature. You should approach the saintly persons and Vaishnavas and understand from them the actual distinction between sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. Vaishnavism is not a science confined within the literature. By the word Nirgrantha, the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas have been defined as beyond the literature. Therefore, the science of Vaishnavism is a mystery. 25th question. Which process did Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura prescribe to the practitioners who are afraid of Kali? Answer is, always remember that this is Kali Yuga. In order to create impediment in one's cultivation of devotional service, Kali invents many sinful means. Kali has no control over whatever you do according to the characteristics and instructions of Mahaprabhu. 26th question. How much determined and tolerant should a practitioner be? Answer is, if someone pushes you, if someone insults you, if a sinful person cheats you, if someone becomes envious of you, if someone chastises you, if someone arrests you, if someone steals your wealth, if someone spits on you, if someone passes urine on your body, and if foolish people frighten you in many ways, still you should be determined to achieve your goal of life and must deliver your mind from sinful object matters with the help of your devotion filled intelligence. 27th question. What kind of assurance did Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura give to non-duplicitous devotees of the Lord? Answer is, there is no doubt that soon by the mercy of the most merciful Mahaprabhu, all social inauspiciousness will be destroyed. There is need to worry anymore if you take shelter of the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu without duplicity. 28th question. How has Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakura invited the people of the whole world to see the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya and attain love of Krishna? Answer is, why I, the most unfortunate fallen soul, did not take birth at the time when Sri Gaurachandra inundated the entire world, including the highest mountains, with the flood of love of God. Therefore, I was unable to relish those waves of love of God. Why I did not take birth at that time to serve the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya? Why I did not become the servant of Sri Rupa and Sanatana? Why I did not carry the water pot of Raghunatha? Why I did not wander about with Ramananda Rai around Chakratirtha? Why I did not see the deliverance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya when Prakasananda Saraswati, the leader of sannyasis of Kashi, attained spiritual bliss in the form of devotional service to the Lord? Why I did not take birth then to relish the devotion-filled nectarian waves of the Lord's arguments with Prakashananda? Even though such a coveted desire is rare, still if I would have taken birth as a mundane logician in the family of a Brahmana at the time, then Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the friend of all living entities, would have punished me with his sharp arrow like words and accepted an atheist like me as his servant. Then he would have entrusted me to Haridas Thakur to be rectified by the chanting of the holy names. Alas, if I could have constantly seen with my spiritual eyes the Lord sitting in the midst of the Vaishnavas and delivering all the living entities who are burned by the fire of material existence through distributing the nectar of the holy name, how much would the associates of the Lord become ecstatic when the Lord would raise his hands and, after awakening all living entities from the lap of illusion, say, "Take this remedy for material disease, drink the mellows of ecstatic love and become immortal." As a result, countless human beings who are afraid of demon-like material enjoyment would have begged for his shelter, then the Lord would have embraced them out of love and happily awarded them the love of Krishna. Thus, the material disease of the living entities would have been cured. I am a servant of Sri Chaitanya and am fallen in the material ocean. The Lord is my only guide and protector. According to His order, I am inviting all of you to chant the holy names of Hari. O living entities, O friends, give up Karma Kanda, Tarka Kanda, and Brahma Kanda. Come and take the love of God distributed by Sri Chaitanya to your full satisfaction. Then your disappointment will be destroyed. Your contaminated state of conditional life will be vanquished, and you will regain your original constitutional position. You will then attain peace, which is your constitutional characteristic. You will relish the ecstatic love of Krishna unlimitedly. With that, we finish the 98th chapter and now start 99th chapter. The topic of this chapter is various topics. First question: what is the basis of a living entity's gradual advancement? Answer is, if the living entities can remain fixed in their respective positions, then they can make gradual advancement, and if they fall from their position, they become degraded. Second question: can one arouse others' faith in devotional service without he himself chanting and preaching the holy name? Answer is, until desires opposed to devotional service are destroyed, no amount of good instructions can affect a person's life. The instructions will simply hit the ears and come back. They will never reach the heart. Therefore, whatever principle of devotional service you preach, whatever topics of devotional service you discuss, they will not yield any result because the listeners are unqualified due to the fault of their karma. Therefore, your discourses and discussions will not produce any result. My order to all of you is that you should constantly sing the glories of the holy names for the benefit of the living entities. As a result of hearing the holy names, the living entities will accumulate piety and develop faith in the glories of the holy names. Then, by the mercy of the holy names, they will develop non-duplicitous faith in devotional service in this lifetime or in the next. Third question: what is beauty, happiness, distress, learning, foolishness, the actual path, wrong path, heaven, hell, home, rich, poor, a miser, the controller, and the controlled? Answer is, the qualities such as detachment are called beauty. Absence of happiness and distress is called happiness. Lack of sense gratification is called distress. The power of discrimination between bondage and liberation is called learning. A person who thinks I am this body is a fool. The orders of Krishna are the actual path. Bewilderment in the heart is the wrong path. Development of qualities in the mode of goodness is heaven. Development of a body in the mode of ignorance is hell. Krishna alone is the friend and the spiritual master. Human body is the home. A person enriched with good qualities is rich, and dissatisfied person is poor. A person whose senses are uncontrolled is a miser. A person who is transcendental to material qualities is the controller, and a person who associates with material qualities is the controlled. Fourth question: is one's luck responsible for his good and bad result? Answer is, as long as one goes through a bad time, he never meets the success. When good times arrive for him, he meets with all success. Fifth question: what is the meaning of the phrase soon ripe, precocious? Precocious. Nowadays, there is one disease that as soon as tender boys learn to write ABC, they begin to instruct like a teacher. This is called soon ripe. Sixth question. What is the symptom of a modern scholar? Answer is simply to attack ancient way of life has nowadays become the symptom of a scholar. Seventh question. What is the difference between word jugglery and learning? Which one does the young generations prefer? Answer is word jugglery and learning are two separate things. The scholars of the Western countries are more into the word jugglery than learning. However, the authors of India are highly learned scholars and less into the word jugglery. The young generations are more in favor of word jugglery than learning. Eighth question. Is it proper to define one's age as the proof of one's qualification? Answer is only age cannot be accepted as the proof of one's qualification. Many old people crawl within their minds. There are many people who are sufficiently aged, who have no teeth, who have grey hair, yet they dye their hair, artificially set silver teeth, and enjoy sense gratification like young men. When such old people could not become detached, then the age cannot be the root cause of one's detachment. Ninth question. What are dharana, anubhuti and yukti? Answer is as soon as the object of the senses meet the senses, a reflection of the object of the senses goes to the heart through the door of the senses. There an internal sense carefully preserves that reflection. This propensity is called dharana. Later on, when the propensity of the internal sense interacts with that preserved reflection, one attains feeling of imaginary objects. This is called anubhuti. Thereafter, the internal sense spreads its sovereignty over those imaginary objects and indulges in the conception of good and bad. This concept is called yukti. If one scrutinizingly study this process, one will find that the entire process is sensory. 10th question. What is pure reasoning and mixed reasoning? Answer is there are two kinds of reasoning, namely pure reasoning and mixed reasoning. A pure spirit soul's spirit cultivation is called pure reasoning. It is faultless and the constitutional characteristic of a spirit soul. The materially perverted constitutional characteristic of a spirit soul who is conditioned by matter is called mixed reasoning. Mixed reasoning is of two kinds, reasoning mixed with karma and reasoning mixed with janana. Another name of which is taraka or argument. This is most condemnable. 11th question. Is it reasonable for the mundane scholars to become proud as the judge of the spiritual truth? Answer is as immature doctors promise to cure physical disease by administering heavy doses of medicine, similarly our modern mundane scholars, in order to conclude the confidential truth regarding the human life, use insignificant mundane methods, disregarding the faults born from imperfect senses. They rely heavily on material education, which is as illusory as a dream, and try to make research in all subject matters. 12th question. For what reason even thoughtful people were unable to understand the actual purport of Srimad Bhagavatam? Answer is men of brilliant thoughts have passed by the work, the Bhagavatam, in quest of truth and philosophy, but the prejudice which they imbibed from its useless readers and their conduct prevented them from making a candid investigation. With that, we conclude today's session here. My sincere obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev Maharaj and the divine couple Sri Sri Radhakrishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.